How's it going, everybody? And welcome to another episode of the Barely There podcast. It is Victory Monday, baby. Be sure to follow the podcast at Barely There Pod. I'm Duke Coughlin. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at that pod guy Duke. As always, I'm joined by the Ayatollah of Capicola, Lucas Perfetti at Lucas Perfetti 46 on Twitter. Be sure to subscribe. You know where to find us. Join the chat on YouTube. All that fun stuff. The Chicago Bears won a football game on Sunday against former head coach Lovie Smith. We beat the Houston Texans 23-20. Definitely an up and down game. Definitely a big defensive game for us. Obviously pounding the football. Like, we were just moving it at will at a certain point. Khalil Herbert with 20 carries, 157 yards and 2 touchdowns. Obviously the big story with Roquan Smith, a guy who was 50-50 to play this game, 16 total tackles with 2 tackles for loss. Just absolutely hammering it out there. Like, just showing Ryan Poles exactly why he should be paid. But we're going to get into that. We're going to have an offensive breakdown, defensive breakdown. You know how we do it. But first, Lucas, we have to address the elephant in the room. Like, it's very obvious. It's wide open right in front of us. Justin Fields has had a rough fucking start to the season. Like, there's no other way to put it. How are you feeling about Justin Fields in this Houston game, and how are you feeling about him so far in 3 weeks of action?
See, that's the kind of tough part because it doesn't feel like a victory Monday. I think we've gotten to the point on Twitter and Bears Twitter that the honeymoon is over, right? There's no more. People are starting to question themselves on whether or not is Justin Fields the guy for the future. I do think that I think you're starting to see that a little bit more, and I'm having some of those same concerns, to be honest. It's hard not to be alarmed by some of the stuff you're seeing on the field. It just seems like to me that, like, what has happened in these last 3 games that you can truly build on with Justin Fields in terms of throwing the football, right? Like, there's a couple throws that you can identify, but there hasn't been any consistency whatsoever. And I think, I know you have your take too, but I think a big issue has been the anticipatory throwing. And this is something I brought up multiple times, but seeing those guys come out of their break before they come out of their break and having the ball out of your hands. I brought up some of the statistics on, how long it's taking him to release the football, actually let go of the ball from the time it's snapped. It's all looking not good right now. And I want to preface this. I purchased this card. This is one of the rarest fucking cards to Justin Fields Color Blast. If you look it up, it's a number 3. It's a 1 in every 12 case pull. So for anyone that collects cards, they understand how fucking rare that is. This is the rarest non-signed Justin Fields card that you can possibly get. Right now it's going for like $5,000. So I'm invested in this kid, and I'm really starting to worry. And I think I talked to my cousin after the game, and I think he kind of put it into good context. Like, we're at that point as a fan base, I feel like, where even the biggest Justin Fields fans they don't want to say it out loud, but they're questioning in their head, like, is he the guy, right? Like, that's exactly when I asked my cousin, like, how do you feel about Justin Fields? He's like, man, I say it in my head a lot during the game, but I don't want to say it out loud, right? And you start to worry because, there's such a multitude of things going on, but the number one thing is just him getting the ball out of his hands and reading the field. And I do think it's something that's correctable, but the faith is starting to really wean, because you can say that there's not the best supporting cast. You could say that the offensive line's a bunch of no names, but when you go through the all 22, there are so many missed opportunities, and people want to talk about the amount of times he's throwing the ball. Like, right now, when he drops back, it's a liability. Like, we never thought that would be a problem, right? We never saw him in that light. We saw Mitchell Trubisky more in that light. As guys who like Mitch, like, we saw him more in that light. Like, he needs to be catered around. We thought Justin was this untouchable, unfazable. And that's probably partially our fault, right, as a fan base, for really, really having those expectations for him. But man, it's gotten really ugly, and it's like the gimmies are not being satisfied, and I think it's starting to really affect his other parts of his game. Like, you look at that Cole Kmet throw, and if you really look at it, I'm sure you guys have seen the clips by now. Pettis, I believe, or ESB, is breaking free. Like, there's no one near him. He opts to go with Cole Kmet, and the thing that's more disturbing about the decision, then the decision is the fact that he floats that ball. And I know he's under pressure, but like what we saw from Justin Fields, even as a rookie, while he does have some issues pulling the trigger and getting the ball out on time, when guys were open, like he gave people a chance. We saw it with Mooney in the Green Bay game last year. Like his deep balls were almost like a handoff, and now he's losing control on his deep balls. And like we see him float a ball to Kmet, and it like to me that's automatic for him. It's a fucking handoff with his ball placement. So the fact that he's starting to float those, or the Darnell Mooney throw in the Green Bay game, I want to say, or was it the San Fran game? Either way, where like he threw it 3 feet over his head. Like that's never something Justin Fields used to do. So I almost feel like we're seeing a worse version of Justin Fields right now than we did last year, even. And it's like he's regressing almost, right? Because those things that he was elite at, he's not making the plays that he used to make consistently, right? So like it's one thing to be like, hey, we got to really work on this quick game and getting the ball out of your hands and just like reading how linebackers are going to drop, being able to use leverage, stuff like that. But when it's on the deep concepts, when all you're reading is one corner and that corner makes a break to the inside and you have a wide open guy and you don't see it, like that's extremely fucking concerning, man. And for me, I feel like a lot of me pointing it out, whether it's in the group chat or on Twitter or whatever, like it comes out of like fear, man. Cause I really thought we had this position settled and now it seems like we don't. You can't definitively say that we do. And then like in terms of a timeline, whether it's fair or not, I can't say it's fair to say, but like Justin is on a sped up timeline. Like this is a new regime. This regime didn't draft him. Typically he should get 3 years to work out all the kinks. Josh Allen looked like dog shit his first year. His second year, he looked and then his third year, he exploded, right? Like, and maybe that is their plan. Maybe they are going to develop catered talent. But like, when you see that many plays left on the field and when your quarterback starts to become a liability every time he drops back, like it's now you wonder like, hey man, are they going to start looking in a different direction for next year? And I think it's a definite fucking possibility. Now, if he starts improving and reinstilling some faith in people and starts doing some of the little things right that you're going to talk about, like, yeah, then I think he's bought himself another year. But like, you really look at it and it's a win now business. They're not going to like, this new regime is not going to waste 2 years on trying to see whether or not this guy gets it. And then them be 2 years through their window and now having to look for a quarterback if they find out he's not the guy. Like they're going to have to make this decision pretty quickly. So it makes me fucking worry, dude. It makes me worry a lot. It makes me worry because then at some point you're going to have to look, okay, Justin Fields, I mean, everything about this system is catered to him now, right? Like this, it's no longer the excuse of you have a boneheaded play caller and Matt Nagy doesn't know how to develop an offense. He was expecting him to do full field reads. Like he's cutting the field in half for this kid. You know what I mean? Like he's giving him half field. Like he's making it very simple. And there are plays that are just being left out there that have no business being left out there. And it's just discouraging, man. It's discouraging. Like, and I'm happy to have the win. I'm happy that fucking Roquan pulled his dong out, all of that shit. But like at some point, if he doesn't progress at all, like if he looks like this for another 13 weeks, like you got to question now, okay, well, do we need a new OC next year? Like we need a different use case. We need to see what a different quarterback looks like in that system. And I don't see it heading that way. I hope to God it doesn't head that way. I did preface the last couple episodes with like, hey, New York, we should start being able to throw the ball a lot more because of secondaries that we faced in the first 3 weeks, right? But fuck, man, I hope things start clicking for him because I mean, Alex Brown brought up a really good point, and he was talking about he was actually referring to when Justin Fields told the fan base that essentially you don't put the work in, so we feel it more than you, and he was like. Alex Brown was saying like, oh yeah, you got to understand these guys, like this is the first time Justin Fields has had any adversity through high school, college, like his whole career. Yes, he transferred, but had tremendous success. This is the first time he's not having success. So be understandable in his response. But my bigger concern is, hey man, this is the first time he's not having success. And now he's starting to regress in some of the areas that he was fucking perfect in. So like, what is going on? Is it getting to his head? I worry about that. I hope not. Everything that we've seen from him, like mental makeup wise, he shouldn't be affected by that, but he's never once had this level of failure in his career. And it's like, he's got to rebound. He has to rebound and start playing better, man.
Yeah, no, I think while I don't agree with everything that you said, and I see quite a few things that you said differently, you bring up a lot of great points and you bring up a lot of valid points. And it's very hard to argue a lot of what you said because simply put, like, I'm a stat guy, Lucas. You know, for a fact, I'm a stat guy. I don't have stats to argue with you with this right now. I genuinely don't. Like, and I've been a Justin Fields guy from the fucking start. I was a Justin Fields guy before we drafted him. Like, you can vouch for that, Lucas. Even being a Wisconsin fan and hating Ohio State to the absolute fucking moon, I was really high on Justin Fields coming out of the draft because I saw the natural talent that he has. Like, and that's something that I feel like just doesn't go away this soon, like at this age. And we saw so many flashes of it last year, and it was in a worse system in my opinion, and it was in a system not necessarily catered to what he did well. It was one of those things where Matt Nagy, I mean, we saw it with Mitchell Trubisky, like forcing a guy who's mobile and is at his best on the run into a pocket and making him throw from that pocket. So that's like one of the bigger things that like really throws me off of why it's not working this year. Because if you look back at where Getsy comes from, and I've brought this up a ton with what he does with what he did with Aaron Rodgers as a passing game coordinator, Aaron's a guy who works on the run. Aaron's a guy who moves out of the pocket. Aaron's a guy who can also deliver from the pocket. So there's a lot of different things you can do with that. These essentially a triple threat at quarterback. And that's what we kind of think that we have in Justin Fields. After 3 weeks, man, it's really hard to justify a lot of what people were saying about him before the season, man. And I've really taken time to sleep on this because I don't truly believe that Justin's problems are as glaring, I guess, as they should, as like maybe it comes off like, because the results speak for them fucking selves. They genuinely do. Like, you look at the box score, you look at the numbers, you look at the eye test during the game, like something is off with him compared to what he was doing last year. I think it goes down to a couple different things. Starting out, I really believe he is not going to his first read as often as he should. He's not taking what the defense is giving him. He's trying to make bigger plays than what's being given to him within the offense. Like, that deep ball to Mooney is one that really sticks out to me. I know everyone wants to go on about the Komet play, which was a terrible throw, by the way. And honestly, it's a play where he had pressure going down on him. Not that he didn't have time in the pocket, but that's a play where I'd really like him to just see it either fucking flutter out of his hand, just throw it away, or take that sack and live to see another day. Like, Komet was open, sure, but if you don't have the time to step into that throw and make that throw across the field, like, you can't make that throw, dude. That's just too high percentage of an interception right there. And that's what I really did not like on that play. But when it comes to the Darnell Mooney throw, the thing that really throws me off about that is he had time and he stepped into that throw and it was still, but trying to like thread a needle between two defenders. And in the situation where that interception was thrown, like, Justin, we don't need that play right there. We really don't. We just need positive yardage to continue moving down the field. You have Khalil Herbert in your backfield, who is just going absolutely bananas. The running game, every freaking game, has been going bananas. That starts a lot with the offensive line that we'll get into a little bit later. But like, Justin he's almost doing this thing where he's trying to play fucking hero ball. He's passing his first read off. He's trying to look at something downfield. And simply put, when he's trying to force balls that aren't there, man, he really is. Like, and he's missing wide open receivers. Like, it is very fucking alarming this early on in the new system. You know what I mean? Because I think the biggest point you hit on, and it's something I 100% agree with you on, is Matt Eberflus and Ryan Poles didn't draft Justin Fields. Like, it's as simple as that. Like, the ticker is a little tighter. Like, the Bears organization could say that they have all this faith in him all they want, but at the end of the day, like, Matt Eberflus and Ryan Poles are safe for an absolute minimum of 3 years. Justin Fields does not have that same situation, and they're not going to waste 2 years of that trying to figure out if Justin's the guy. Like, that's why I truly believe this is a complete evaluation of him this year. And if he doesn't cut the mustard, like, they're going to look elsewhere. I'm not saying they're going to move Justin Fields per se, but they're going to bring in some serious heavy hitting fucking competition if Justin can't do it this year, whether that's drafting a quarterback, whether that's going and signing a guy, whether that's even trading for somebody. Like, there's going to be, the fire is going to be on, man. And he might not even be a promised starter going into next year if he doesn't get it together. Like, I'm not going to sit here and try to bring up all these stats or try to blame the surrounding players for why he's struggling. And I'm not going to sit here and just say that I 100% think that Justin Fields is going to turn it around, because in all honesty, I don't know. But I think if somebody can turn it around with the amount of natural talent that Justin Fields has and with the amount of film of what he's shown in the past, I think he can do it. Will he do it? That's the question that's up for debate, and I still think it's early in this process, but like this has been like one of the worst passing starts in NFL history. Like, and people just can't deny that. It's that simple. And he needs to do the little things better, and he'll be able to shine more. Like when you're hitting your checkdowns, I get it. That's a boring offensive strategy. And we just had a head coach that like preached that to death about hitting the checkdowns and hitting your first read and all that fun stuff. Like a very boring fucking bubble screen and curl route and bullshit. You know what I mean? Like it was a very boring offense. I get that. And I understand why people want to get to the more vertical offense. And I'm sure Justin had a little bit of that too coming into the season. He finally had an offensive coordinator that kind of came in and he's like, oh, look at these deep and flood concepts. Like this is stuff that I was doing at Ohio State. Like this is stuff that I really want to get into. But Justin, that just doesn't mean you throw away your first read. That doesn't mean you throw away your fucking checkdowns, because so often I see him looking at his first read and he's about to throw the ball. He fucking brings it back to fucking scan the field and he just looks lost. And it's very alarming. Like, I don't think it's necessarily anything that's unfixable. And I feel like if I'm his quarterback coach this week, I'm drilling into him, Justin, take the first read, take what the offense is giving you. Like this offense was ran through Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers just last night found a way to win and have a pretty fucking good game by taking those 7-yard routes and taking like 1 or 2 deep shots the entire game. But he hit those deep shots because the defense was playing so fucking up on them that he was able to get the matchups that he wants. Like, you have to be able to set up. Like, and that's something I've brought up every single freaking week about this offense, is getting those setup plays, being able to set up for the deep play, being able to set up for the big play. You can't throw yourself into them, man. Even Patrick Mahomes sets up those plays with underneath routes. Like, it's the best quarterbacks in football are doing it. Like, you're no different, Justin. Like, this is something you have to do. And also, and we're going to jump into another point after this. I mean, Lucas, I'll give you a second to rebuttal whatever I got to say, because, but I don't want to talk about Justin Fields this whole time. If you're a fan who gets offended by the fact that me and Lucas just sat here and talked about things that Justin Fields needs to improve on, you're not genuinely a fan of Justin Fields, because you are satisfied with what he is right now. Justin Fields himself said he played like ass. He didn't say ass, but like he wanted to say that he played like trash.
Yeah.
Like, you need to be able to tell these guys, like, I'm not saying you do it unfairly, but I'm saying you have to be like, hey, Justin, you played like trash, man. He needs to kind of hear that noise a little bit. And I think he's a guy that can respond to that. I always think of, like, as an MMA fan, I was a Conor McGregor fan, like, really early on in the process. And the reason why people hate Conor McGregor fans is because they will defend every fucking thing he does. I won't. I will be like, Conor, you need to be better. You need to not fucking throw trolleys at buses. You know what I mean? Don't do some wild, crazy shit. But like, I think that applies to like Justin Fields as well. Like, if you want to be a real fan of Justin Fields, give him constructive criticism. Don't just suck him dry for the sake of being, oh, well, I stuck with Justin Fields the whole way. I'm not going away from Justin Fields. He's my quarterback one. And that's just something that, like, I've accepted. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to be rooting for this guy to the moon because I think he has the talent to be able to turn it around. But like, I'm not going to sit here and act like it's his surroundings. He doesn't have enough talent, or like he doesn't have the right system or whatever. Like, that's not the excuse I'm going to use. I'm going to fucking try to drill into what Justin's doing wrong now. So hopefully he fixes it and he can be the best player that he can possibly be, because I feel like we have too much of this stuff where we need to endlessly defend these guys instead of just being honest with them and giving them the constructive criticism that you need.
Yeah. And I mean, no, that's legit. That's all legit. I hope that you're right in terms of, having a bit more optimistic approach, because like, fuck, dude, I don't want to do this again. Like, I don't want to redo this. And like, that's what I'm saying. Like, just some of the things are alarming. Like, Mahomes had that issue in year 2 or year 3 where they were talking about, like, you need to take your checkdowns. Like, stop going for the big play. Stop going for the big play. Like, it was a 3, 4, or 5 week thing that was corrected. But even still, he was he was seeing those guys come open in the deep field and hitting them. Like we're seeing too many open guys not get the ball thrown to him. And you actually hit on a really good point where almost that little pump fake thing, like when he sees a guy, that's my thing. He's waiting to see him open instead of realizing, hey, this corner's dropping off. My guy's running an out. This is going to be there. I need to pull the trigger now. And it could be a timing issue. I hope to God it's a fucking timing issue. But I feel like too often we see him almost, it looks like he gets excited, right? Like he gets a little light on his feet. He doesn't jump when he sees a guy open. And you see him do it like 2 times in the pocket. He's like, and then decides to run, right? And it's like, just pull the fucking trigger. If I'm his quarterback coach, I'm saying pull the trigger, because something like the Komet throw being a stupid decision, I can live with stupid decisions if you're consistently getting the fucking ball out of your hands and trying to hit receivers that are coming open. I don't care about a specific interception where he makes a bad read or doesn't see a guy. That's fine. Like that's correctable. Some of this shit to me is not as correctable. It's something that like is a little bit more of a long-term play. And I don't know if he has that time on the Bears.
So I can't say without a shadow of a doubt that him kind of pump thinking like that is like what you explained it to be. Personally, what I think it is it's him looking off his first read. Like I think he's ready to, I think he's ready to go there, but he just is just waiting that extra second to see if there's something else downfield where it's like, dude, you just have to, if you're already looking at that first read and it's there, go there. Like, don't even bother going to the second. I don't care how much of a fucking cheese play it is. Like, dude, I don't care if some hack on Twitter wants to post the fact that you missed the receiver down the left sideline. If you're still hitting a guy in stride for 10 fucking yards and a first down, like I will take that all day, but you have to hit that guy.
I mean, even the Pringle throw, like that first down he threw, like he threw it 3 seconds too late. They're running together. They're both rolling out together. Pringle's forced up to the sideline. He could have turned up and gotten at least another 5-6 yards. Like it's just the ball is coming out of his hand late and it needs to be faster.
Well, and there was a couple instances on the film where it's like he goes right into that first read and throws the ball immediately, and it works. Like, dude, he hit Cole Kmet over the middle of the field, I believe, in the
I think that's because of the fucking comebacks. He's used to throwing fucking comebacks as his first read, because he does throw a damn good fucking comeback. Like that timing route is great. Him and Mooney connected on a couple of them. But go ahead.
I mean, in all honesty, dude, if we're gonna start kind of moving in a little bit of the offense, like I hate the screen passes personally. Like I think you really have to set that up. That's not something you can go to as early as we did, and that's just another one where it's like I understand. Like that's basically going into what Eberflus is talking about getting the ball into your most talented player's hands. Like and trying to, get a play out of that. But like the screen all year has just not worked. And it's not even necessarily that the throw is off or anything like that. It's just, it's either being blown up immediately, it's being dropped, or it's being fucking
defended. 1 out of 4 screens. One was uncatchable. One got stopped instantly. One was dropped by Mooney, and the other one was batted down at the line of scrimmage. So yeah, the screen game hasn't been working, but because I think it's because they're taking that away. Like they're coming up field so hard, it's giving us more running lanes, and we're running the fuck out of that's what I'm saying. Like if you have a game where you hit 3-4 of those, hey, we're gonna try to burn Justin Fields and come up field fast, and we're gonna take away his rollout because that's something that they're clearly trying to do. He's getting met on rollouts far too often, and there's nothing you can do about it. He literally just has to keep them honest and deliver from within the pocket for a couple plays and like really make sure to hit those things, because then it's going to keep them honest. Then it's going to be like, fuck, Justin Fields is back, because he's going through something right now that we don't fully understand or know because we're not in the locker room. But like last year as a rookie, he looked better than he does in this first 3 games, and he's got to snap out of it. He's got to figure something out.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I really think him just accepting defeat, going to the check down and going to the first read is just going to do wonders for him, man.
Yeah.
I like just make the layups, man. Everything else will come. Like you're talented enough that once you get those open throws and you're able to step into one, like you're going to make that throw. But when you're forcing it downfield on defenses that are playing you up front anyway, because they know you're not taking anything underneath, like you're just not going to get that, dude. And then you're just forcing big plays, and you're never going to be able to force a big play consistent enough in the NFL. I mean, dude, even Patrick Mahomes runs into those issues. You know what I mean? Like even Aaron Rodgers runs into those issues to where like he gets a little fucking hero ball-ish and tries to make plays that just aren't there. Like when you're able to consistently methodically move down the field, like it's not fun. It's not necessarily like the funnest thing for NFL fans to watch because like it's a long drive and you're moving down the field. You're not making huge plays, but like it sets up that huge play down the field eventually. And that's just kind of been the story of the offense for me personally, is just getting those setup plays. And those setup plays come when you hit your check downs, you hit your layups, you make those easy throws, like you hit your out routes. You don't throw it over Darnell Mooney's head on that. You feed Cole Kmet, get the middle of the field going a little bit on the underneath. Like there's
going this week. Like he did have that's the thing, man. It's just he's far too good of a football player to be having a stat line where he's throwing under 50% completion, 0 touch. Like he's far too good of a football player to look like that. And like, he's just got to get better, man. He's just got to.
Yeah, no, it's that simple. But I mean, just to kind of diverge a little bit from Justin Fields, because shit, dude, we just spent like 28 minutes talking about it. But I mean,
that's what everyone's worried about, really.
It was the elephant in the room, though. Like, you can't just not talk about it, and you can't just act oblivious to the fact that there's issues going on there. You know what I mean?
Well, and I'm glad to see the hostility is back. Like, there was a little bit too much kumbaya in the Bears fandom, so I'm glad to see that people are at each other's fucking throats again.
I like seeing people who think they're always right getting called out, but
it's a fucking joke, dude.
Oh, fucking delicious. But anyway, moving forward, offensive line. I feel like we need to talk about this because Sam Mustipher, and dude, I feel like Olap put it the best way when it came to Sam Mustipher. Like when I saw him fucking send the message in the group chat, like I died. And he's like, Sam Mustipher just snapped a ball into his ass. And it's like, dude, he literally did that on the very first fucking snap. And then he does it later in the game as well. Like, how in the world do you snap footballs as a center for this long? You played at Notre Dame and you can't snap the fucking football to your quarterback. Like, and like, I saw the first play and my immediate thought was like, oh, fuck, Justin just fucked this snap up. Like, what the hell's going on here? But then I watched it and like the ball legit went right up fucking Sam Mustipher's own ass. Like it was enamoring to see.
What did we sign Lucas Patrick for? Because he no longer has a cast on. So, like, and why are we still rotating? Like, if you think Patrick's the better player, then you start him for 100 fucking snaps a game.
And, dude, is what gets me about this, and I got to watch the All-22 yet, which the All-22 hasn't dropped, but I've watched the condensed game, and I watched the entire game yesterday. And, like, my takeaway with Lucas Patrick is, like, I don't even think he's a better guard than fucking Tevin Jenkins right now.
I don't either, but
because he was getting his dick stomped on quite a few running plays. Like I remember one specifically in the red zone where he was 2 yards in the backfield the second the ball was snapped. Like that's fine if you're at center, because I automatically think Lucas Patrick is a better center than fucking Sam Mustipher because that's a very low bar. But as far as keeping Tevin Jenkins off the field, like there's just no way anybody can justify that to me where it makes sense.
No, I agree with you. I think Tevin Jenkins is the better player. I think he, especially for what the Bears are doing right now, he's a better fit, right? Like if they were going to be slinging the ball 45 times a game, I'd probably take Patrick over Jenkins. And I don't even know if I'd go that far. But like the rotation thing just fucking baffles me. It absolutely baffles me. If you think Patrick is the fucking better player, then you start him 100% of the snaps. And if you think Mustipher's that good, then you start him 100% of the snaps. This whole fucking shuffle thing is stupid, dude. Like I don't name a top offensive line in the history of the NFL that rotated their right guard. You won't be able to. Like you'll be able to come up with, I think who was it? Joey in the group chat was like Green Bay did that with, yeah. And they were trying to figure out who was the better player so they could start from that point forward. I don't get it, dude. He was signed to play center. He hasn't taken any snaps at center in the regular season. Now the cast is off his hand. Like, I don't get it, dude. But that's my first red flag from Flus, straight up. Like, I love Eberflus. I love everything he's done. To be honest, like the Bears should not be 2-1, and they are. And I think it's largely in part to the culture he's instilled and exactly what Eberflus represents and what this team is trying to do. But like, you're the head coach. Like, you got to have some say in like, hey, what are we doing here? Like as a defensive coach, this is a tell to me. Like this doesn't make a lot of sense. So if you don't want fucking Jenkins on the field because you don't like him and he's whatever, dude, whatever you're going to do, but just have someone start for 100% of his fucking snaps, please.
Well, like, dude, I just don't understand. Like, I guess I did at first. I mean, I tried to. I hated the rotation from the fucking jump. Like, if Lucas Patrick isn't healthy enough to snap, then he's not healthy enough to fucking play right guard. But like, he was snapping footballs this past week. If he's not starting at center this week and we continue to do this rotation, like, I'm going to have a really, really, really big issue with it. I already have an issue with it. Like, I'm with you 100% on everything you said with that, Lucas. But like, I'm going to start having a big problem with this because like Tevin Jenkins looks the fucking part at right guard now. Like, honestly, dude, there was games in the preseason where he looked like the best offensive lineman on the field. Like, the block he made in this game on the 54-yard run for fucking Herbert was fucking tastic, and it's exactly what you want on that run play. Like, there are so many things that he does well, and I always hear this like argument that it's like, well, they try to keep him in on running plays, and they bring in Patrick on passing downs because Patrick is better pass blocker. Like, am I missing something? Like, did Tevin just get absolutely mollywopped in pass blocking that I just completely missed or something? Because like, I haven't seen it. Like, I'm not saying he's perfect in pass blocking, and I'm sure he has to learn that position in that sense. But like, I have not seen anything that shows me that like Tevin Jenkins is a complete danger to Justin Fields.
Well, and you're in the draft and develop portion of your franchise. That's where they're at right now. So if he was lacking in the pass blocking game, why not develop him? Right? Like, why not?
I mean, we're doing it with Larry Borum right now.
Why not have him take those snaps? They're pretty valuable. It's a pretty high draft pick. You have him under rookie contract control. I don't know, man. Put my tinfoil hat on. I still think he's on the trade block. I think that's why he's getting looks at guard still. So they can be like, hey, we don't want him, but he's a lot more than you thought he was. Like,
and that would be so infuriating because it's like, I don't care if you didn't draft him. You know what I mean? Even if you don't totally get along with him as a front office, like if the guy plays and he's not being a distraction in the locker room or to his teammates, like who cares? Like, you have him under contract control. Like, I'm really glad you brought that up, Lucas, because that's the biggest fucking point here that doesn't get talked about enough when it comes to Tevin Jenkins is like, you have him under contract control if he does pan out. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to pay him big money if he turns into one of the better guards in football. And he hasn't shown anything to say that he's like one of the worst. He hasn't shown anything that shows that like he is a liability when he is on the field. Like,
no, I think he's a plus player. I don't even think I don't think liability should even be mentioned in the conversation with him. He's a plus player. He does good things. Good things happen when he's on the field.
Dude, him in run blocking is just so fun to watch. Like, it reminds me of what he was doing at freaking Oklahoma State. Like, and I just don't see this like lack of like pass blocking footwork or anything like that out of him. Like, maybe I got to watch the All-22 again, you know, and fucking really see if he's really just stinking it up out there in pass pro. But like, I'm not seeing it. You know, I'm not seeing him getting beat physically. I'm not seeing him get beat on the speed wise, which by the way, I know our boy Shane brought up a couple weeks ago about Tevin looking a little bit slow in his first game at right guard, man. He gets to the second level quick. Like, I don't care what anybody says. He's got some sneaky athleticism for being as big as he is, man. And that's just such a nice thing to have at guard. And like, it's not even like that I don't like Lucas Patrick, because I actually really like the signing, and I really like the guy. I think when he talks, he makes a lot of sense, and he seems like somebody who really understands being an offensive lineman in the NFL, and his play over his career has produced that. But like, do this fucking awesome thing and put Lucas Patrick and Tevin Jenkins next to each other in the offensive line. Maybe put Lucas Patrick at center. Yeah, maybe put Lucas Patrick at center. Like, I know that's crazy, but like, why not give her a shot?
Just see what happens, dude. Just give her a fucking shot, dude. Because he was there all up until the first. Like, you think training camp happens? I think they have like 3 weeks of training camp before the first game. He was there. He got injured in the game, if I'm not mistaken. So why we can't go back, I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. In terms of the blocking itself, it hasn't been bad, and we are covering a win here. So maybe we should start looking at the positives. But like, I don't know, man. Maybe
I will say
my complaints aren't with the offensive line. That's for sure.
I will say
line, they're getting their shit pushed in a little bit too much.
I think Braxton Jones had a fucking fantastic game. He's gonna be one when I watch all 22 tomorrow that I'm gonna be focusing a lot on, because like, you didn't hear about him. And that is the best thing in the world when it comes to an offensive lineman, is when you don't hear about a guy. because that means they are fucking doing their job all day. And dude, Houston has some pass rushers, man. Grenard is a pretty dude. He's a good player. Like he's a guy that if you don't know his name now, you're gonna know his name by the end of the year, because I feel like he's a guy that could finish around that 9 to 10 sack range. And I think Lovey just absolutely loves the guy. He's a guy who came into camp in really good shape, and Braxton Jones handled business against him all day. Like I didn't see anywhere where Braxton Jones was getting pushed in. And man, that type of development from a left tackle, that's just so positive to see, because like I'm a guy who's been really honest about Braxton Jones. You know, I know everyone's really high on him, but like there have been situations in earlier games.
For sure, yeah.
There have been situations in earlier games where I've called him out, but I mean that just comes with being a rookie. Like he's a 5th round fucking pick. But like this game, I feel like I'm gonna watch this film. I'm gonna be really impressed with him. I can't say the same about Larry Borum though.
Yeah,
Larry Borum is
the two.
What's up?
I was gonna say no. If we're gonna compare the two, like Larry Borum's like this year that Braxton Jones is having, while he's losing sometimes for sure. That's part of being an offensive lineman. Like, yeah, I get a different feeling from Braxton Jones at left tackle than I did from Larry Borum at left tackle. Like he was like Larry Borum was like, oh, you can put him there and it's not horrible, but like this, I feel confident in him being that left tackle for the future. Whereas Larry Borum, I'm like, I don't see him slotting in there next year. Right. But continue.
No. So yeah, I'm kind of the same boat. Like I feel like if anyone's expendable on this offensive line besides Sam Mustipher, which I'm going to get to him in a second, I think it would be Larry Borum right now. Now, am I saying like he can't pick it up the rest of the year? And am I saying that he's like a negative player for us? No, not necessarily. I think I think he's having some struggles setting the edge, and I think he is very overrated when it comes to run blocking. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying like everybody was always raving about how good of a run blocker he was, and it's like I still need to like really see it on a consistent basis. Like I see Tevin at right guard, and I just see him mauling people, and I just don't necessarily see that from Larry when he's getting to the second level. I mean, these are small complaints. Like I still feel I'm still happy.
Still averaging like 200 yards rushing a game.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's hard for me to really complain too fucking much about it, but like it's something to watch, I guess, something to keep in mind. Like pay a little bit more attention to Larry Borum, especially like on passing downs, like next week. You know what I mean? Just get a good look at it. You know what I mean? It's something to just kind of pay attention to. And then, you know, obviously Sam Mustipher, like what can I say that hasn't already been said, dude? Like he snapped a football into his own anus. Like I don't, he did it twice. Like I don't know what else to do with that. Like he's the guy who's been stabbing football his whole life. And man, Sam, if you hear this, I'm sorry. Like I think you're a great guy, and I love the fact that you're always picking up your quarterback, and it seems like you're a big fucking team guy, but like, buddy, it's not working right now. It's not. And I think we signed Lucas Patrick to basically take your job. And the only thing that's keeping you on the field is the fact that we've had injuries and an influx of fucking shit at right guard, man. Like I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, I really want to see heading into week 4, Lucas Patrick at center and Tevin Jenkins at right guard. Like
if that's our one note to the coaching staff, let go of the ball and fucking please God start what's it called at center. What if they start Patrick at center and then move Mustipher to right guard and just have
I will go live on Twitter and I will throw a fit for a solid 20 minutes. I will be very upset.
But speaking of the running game being so good, we have to talk about Dave Montgomery got rolled up on pretty good there. He left the game and Khalil Herbert stepped in. He even said, I mean, as the local not Khalil Herbert guy, I'll start to eat my words a little bit. He looks like he's the real deal. I do think, I mean, the holes are great too. It's not like Dave Montgomery wasn't running for 120 yards the game previous, right? Like the holes are there, semi-truck type holes, but he's putting his foot in the ground and getting downhill, and he's doing well.
I think you have to retire the Langford meme.
I can't yet.
You're dangerously close.
We're getting close to it. We're getting close to it for sure. But
because Herbert, I'll let you finish this point. But like, dude, Herbert was not only getting the second level, but he was just he was not getting pushed back. He was only falling forward.
He played very well yesterday, and he's had a good start to the season. So as someone who did not want to give Herbert a lot of credit, partially in defense of Dave Montgomery, but mostly because I thought like he's a blip on the radar kind of guy and a one-trick pony. He has proved me wrong to this point. So I'm not getting rid of the Khalil Langford memes yet, but I will say, hey man, you got me. You told me to shut the fuck up. Pretty good. All right, so kudos to Khalil Herbert. But it looks like Dave Montgomery's injury is day to day, so it doesn't look too horrible. At first, it looked like a knee thing. You never want to see that in a contract year. So and I'm not saying that the Bears are going to re-sign him or anything like that, but you want him, he's a warrior for us. He has been
He
full time
moves the
here.
needle.
Yeah, he has been his whole time here, so I want him to have a healthy, good season. So if we don't pay him, someone else at least gives him a second contract and he makes a decent amount of money. Because that's the thing that sucks too. This is the year where we're finally pounding the fuck out of the rock. Like Dave Montgomery could have a 1,500-yard season if they give him the workload continuously that they were giving him, and especially with the run blocking. So a little disappointing. Something to monitor this week. I think practice starts on tomorrow, so we should get Wednesday maybe. So we should get some updates for the next episode. But yeah, overall as a whole, man, you can't run for 250 yards and throw for like 97. Like it's not a formula to win. Thank God Roquan pulled his fucking meat out. Defense looked good. I mean, you didn't even add in your intro. Roquan had a game-winning interception. I know Cairo had to kick the fucking ball, but I mean, what did I say? What did I say on the last podcast? I was like, the Bears need to come in and blow their doors off, because if it is a one-score game and like anything could happen at that point, and I think Houston wins that game. If I still stand by that, if Roquan Smith does not make that interception, I think the Chicago Bears lose that game. So he literally, in my eyes, won that fucking game. And Ryan Poles, dude, playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers. Why pay a guy $20 million when you could pay him 25?
Yeah, no, and that was my biggest argument. I guess divulging in the defense a little bit. That was my biggest argument when it came
good.
When it came and dude, he was 50-50 before the game. Like that cannot be overstated. Like he was not 100% heading into this game, and he still just freaking took it over. Like I always think of and I hate Joe Buck, but I always think of this fucking call. I think it was when we were playing Seattle in the playoffs back in the day with Urlacher. And Joe Buck made this call, and he's like, Brian Urlacher is taking over this game. And like that is it hit that point for me in like the second quarter for Roquan Smith. It's like Roquan Smith's taking over this game right now. Like that's how much of an impact he's had. And dude, I think you nailed it on the head, man. And this is why I got so upset when I saw how the contract negotiations broke down, and when we heard about the de-escalators and everything like that, because it's like, oh, you want to see how Roquan Smith fits into the system? Well, he fits, and he looks damn good while doing
every one of his skill sets.
And I tried to explain to people, because they're all like, well, we don't want him to get paid more than Darius Leonard. You know what I mean? Like, we don't want that to be able to happen. Like, he will not be the highest paid linebacker in football for longer than a year if you sign him before the season starts. Now that price is going to go up. There's going to be an extra 1, 2, maybe even $3 million per year on that deal from how he's playing right now if he continues at this rate. Like, and honestly, it felt like those first two games, and maybe it sounded like we were making excuses for him, Lucas, but we were saying like, hey, this is a guy who didn't play all preseason.
Doesn't look right. He's never been
still getting familiar with the fucking terminology. He's still getting familiar with where he has to be in his position. It all came together on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, we're also completely negating the fact that we probably played two of the better offenses that the Bears are going to play all year long in terms of being able to run. His one weakness is getting off blocks, right? And you don't need him to do that much, but it was extremely highlighted in 2 games after he didn't play any of the preseason. And now we're finding out he's dealing with a nagging hip injury. That's probably what kept him out of that first preseason game. But either way, those two teams were really going to highlight his deficiencies. And I knew that going into it as well. But like now you look at it, like look at his run fits. He was playing downhill the entire game. You say 2 tackles for loss. He had 16 total tackles. How many of those were the running back made it back to the line of scrimmage or got a 1-yard gain or something like that? Like he was coming downhill. He was laying fucking hits on people. He looked like the old Roquan. Bojack is also fully back. And I am so fucking happy about that, because we forget that Bojack wasn't like kind of good when he was when he was fucking Bojack. Like, he was the best safety in the league, and right now we are getting that type of play. He was made an honorary captain for a reason. Honestly, at this point, I think you sew the C onto his chest because like he's earned it through these first 3 weeks.
Hey, Bojack, who called an interception for you on Sunday? Who called it? Who called it? Oh, that's right. It was this guy.
Who was the guy that tipped
this guy?
Your boy, Kendall Vildor.
Oh my gosh, I don't even want
Our
to.
corners were getting burnt, dude. We need Jalen Johnson back. Bad.
Thank you.
That's a real receiving core with a real quarterback, and they're going to put up 40.
Yeah, but I'm with you completely on Bojack. Obviously, I mean, I'm a huge Eddie Jackson guy. I'm someone who never really waned from him because like I knew like he was still that guy. But getting to see him in a real fucking safety with my other boy Jaquan Brisker, like it's night and day. He plays so freely back there, and like it just reminds you of him and Amos. Like that's you draft a Penn State strong safety to pair with fucking Eddie Jackson, and great things are gonna happen. It's that simple,
dude. And one thing that's extremely underrated about Brisker, because Brisker has a lot more range, in my opinion, than Amos did, but that's probably why it's a second versus a fourth rounder. But if you really look at Brisker, there was a play he had there where he was man up and they put their tight end all the way split outside. And he manned a fucking tight end up all the way on the outside of the formation. He was the last guy out. He was playing like fucking flanker at that point. But because of the matchup, you're going to have your corners on your receivers and shit like that. And, you know, being outside, being a safety, manning up a tight end like that, like that's impressive for a rookie at a pass breakup on that play. You're talking about like someone that you can really be versatile with in the future because, you know, he's taken his rookie lumps as well. He's missed a little bit more tackles than I would like for Brisker to. But I think that's all going to come. I think that's just rookie stuff. You got to understand a lot of these kids are young, so they're going to make mistakes. I think those are extremely correctable. And he's always been a downhill player. But to me, that's impressive that he's manning up a tight end all the way on the outside of the formation.
Yeah.
He should be in the, like when he's labeled an in the box player.
Well, I think he's a guy who could even cover like slot corners. Like he's somebody who can do a little bit of everything. I actually really liked seeing him come up and basically be like the de facto Sam on a couple plays. I don't know if you noticed that, Lucas, but they started messing around with that a little bit more when DHC came in because Eddie Jackson, I guess that we should bring that up too. Eddie Jackson was in the injury tent for a little bit. We haven't heard much of an update about what happened with that, but he did end up coming back to the game and continuing to play well. But you know, I think this is something else we really have to talk about because like everyone was really high on him coming into this season. Oof. And it's Kyler Gordon. Like it's impossible to ignore. Like you can spin it any way you want. Kyler Gordon had and I hate it feels like I'm saying this every week, man. He had a welcome to the NFL game. It's another one of those like, and it's not necessarily that it's just a few mistakes. It's he's getting ripped up.
The fucking brakes beat off of him.
But you know, for corners. I will say, like,
some time to adjust.
He doesn't look like fucking Artie Burns out there. Like,
no one's gonna come out and play like it's very rare that someone comes out and has the instant success like a guy like Jalen Johnson had. So,
well, dude, even if we look up north, man, first season Jair Alexander, he was getting ripped up pretty well as well. Like it's just one of those things where you kind of have to get used to how wide receivers run routes in the NFL compared to what they do in college because like. Yeah, you know, dude, Washington's a really nice school to come out of. There's been a lot of good corners that have come out of Washington, but like you're just not going to face the type of competition out there that you're going to face the NFL.
Well, and he's been a guy that's got an extreme amount of athletic ability. So like when they say a guy's even with the fucking defender, he's open. That's essentially because he's still got to flip his hips and all that shit. Like that's essentially, I think, what Kyler Gordon's going through is he's realizing, hey, I got to be in a lot better position because my athletic ability is not going to overcome 2 steps like it did in college. So, and I think that has to do with a lot of corners. Yeah. Right. Like, I think it's just positioning and things like that. I mean, like I fucking said it when we were doing our draft. Like if Kyler Gordon's there at 42 or whatever we were picking, like it's going to be hard to pass him up. And they ended up going with him. Right. So I do think he was a first round talent and I think he'll figure it out. But like I
think him and Brisker were both first round talents. Like honestly, I would have almost said draft Brisker over Gordon and see if Gordon falls to you. But I mean, fuck, it worked, you know.
Either way, I mean, he's been getting the fucking drum beat off of him. And talking about Brisker himself, dude, when he creeps up into the box, like there were a couple plays that he was there. Like, he's got good instincts, and I think he really understands film well and tells and keys and shit like that, because like he's on the ball carrier in the backfield and then he misses a tackle. So it's like, just finish the fucking play, because that's what's gonna be separating him from being like, oh yeah, he's a good player, to, oh yeah, he's a Pro Bowler. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like those types of play. Like, he missed 2 plays in the backfield, I want to say, that were incredible in terms of the read, the keys, and getting to the right spot, and then he just lets the guy go. It's like, dude, just finish that off, because you can be a Pro Bowl player. Like, I'm not seeing that same trajectory from Gordon right now.
Yeah. No, I mean, but I mean, it's a process, especially
it's a lot harder position to play corner.
Yeah. I mean, and especially when you're playing in the slot, honestly, that's kind of a tall task in today's NFL, because slot wide receivers are just, it's almost at a premium at this point. You know what I mean? Like,
they're moving guys inside of the slot because they don't want to deal with outside corners.
Exactly. And when you're moving him inside and outside, which is honestly something that's not necessarily used too much around the league, unless you're like one of the best corners in football, like, which that says a lot that Matt Eberflus truly believes in him if he's moving him inside and outside. That's another tall fucking task for a rookie, man. Like, that's 2 completely different positions to try to cover.
Responsibilities, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, when you're kind of learning this defense on the fly, like, it's quite a bit to take in. But one last point I do want to make. Obviously, I wore the Jack Sanborn jersey last week. Jack didn't end up starting. It's a shame, but I don't want that to overshadow the Joe Thomas, who I've been a fan of Joe Thomas as well. I think Joe Thomas is a quality player. He's somebody that can definitely play on a drop of a dime. I thought he had a pretty good game.
Honestly. He did play well. Joe Thomas played well.
I was obviously, the one thing that everyone's going to clown him on is that fumble recovery, which, like, I don't know how the hell you don't recover that fumble, but regardless, that doesn't take away from the fact that he was in the right position the entire game. He did pretty good in coverage.
Bojack too, that forced that fumble.
Yeah,
he's back, dude.
Dude, Bojack is so freaking back. Like, I'm not gonna call pick 6 for this next game, but it's coming, baby.
I'm gonna, at this point, we have to disqualify any Jackson interception as a bold prediction. It's not bold. It's expected, because Bojack's back.
If I call my shot,
call it the way you did in the past, then yes, for sure. But
I'm not gonna. That's not happening this week, though. It's too soon. I mean, of course, now that I say that, Eddie is going to get a pick 6 on Daniel Jones as he fucking tries to run down the field, but neither here nor there. But yeah, no, I want to see some Jack Sanborn if Matt Adams continues to be out. I at least just want to see him get a crack. You know what I mean? Like,
just give him a little crack.
Yeah, there's a little bit of crack. You know what I mean? Like, I just think you saw what he did in the preseason. Like, obviously, dude, Eberflus was fucking raving about him before this game. That's why I'm kind of surprised he didn't start. He said he was talking about how great of a week of practice that he had. Like, I want to at least, like, I think he got 1 defensive snap, and like, I want to see him get, if Adams continues to be out, like, at least just give him a drive or something like that every once in a while. You know what I mean? Like, just give somebody a breather, let him go out there and just get a little bit of experience. Cause I really feel like once he gets an opportunity, you're going to be like, okay, this is a guy that we can trust to be out there in actual real games that count. But whatever. I mean, it is what it is. Joe Thomas played really well. And I think Joe Thomas is obviously, he played well enough to continue to start as long as Matt Adams is out. But still, I just a little crack, you know what I mean? A little crack. But all right. Yeah, anyway, I guess that's really about all I got. Obviously, Cairo. What's up?
So we covered it from pretty much every angle.
Yeah, for the most part. Cairo obviously had a solid game. There were people who were worried about him after fucking week 1 and as he was kicking a monsoon, but it's like he's fine. He looks
that fucking Kentucky bluegrass looked beautiful too. Like that
dude, it did.
Everyone was talking shit about it. I'm like, man, that looks good.
Oh man, I tried to withhold judgment just because I want to know, but like I want to see how it looks in the winter for the most part. Yeah. But anyway, I think that's a good place to stop. Obviously, we are going to be back to cover the entire New York Giants game. Give our previews and all that when we get there. Hopefully we see a good week of practice from everybody. Hopefully we see a healthy week of practice. We're going to have to pay attention to the David Montgomery situation. But I'm Duke Coughlin. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at @ThatPodGuyDuke. I'm joined, as always, by Luke Sfetti. You can follow him at LukeSfetti46. Be sure to follow the pod at Barely There Pod. Be sure to like, subscribe on YouTube. Be sure to join the conversation. Be sure to subscribe and rate us on Spotify, Apple, anything. Like, dude, that stuff just helps us move up the list, man. We appreciate any and all support we get. We're getting some really good live stream numbers. Appreciate everybody in the fan base, don't roast us too much for the Justin Fields talk. Not that I really care because I will own that shit every single day, baby. But that's all we got. We've been barely there. Yeah, bear down.